The auction hall reeked of desperation and disinfectant. Kessa pressed herself against the cold metal wall of the holding pen, watching through the energy barrier as the last of her penmates was dragged onto the platform. The Valorian slaver's voice boomed through translators, announcing attributes like livestock. The bidding lasted 40 seconds. Then the pen door sealed shut, and Kessa was alone. She'd known this would happen. 4 days without food had left her skeletal. The bruises across her ribs hadn't healed properly. Her species, StoryHFY, a mining colony race, wasn't valuable to begin with? Damaged goods from a failed rebellion? Worthless. The auction continued beyond the barrier. She couldn't see the main floor from her angle, only hear the rhythm of sales, thump of the gavel, shuffle of chains. Next. 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 Hours crawled past. The sounds faded. Lights dimmed in the outer corridors. Kessa closed her eyes. They'd leave her here until they decided what to do with unsold merchandise, reconditioning if she was lucky, disposal if she wasn't. The barrier hummed off. She jerked her head up. A figure stood in the doorway, backlit by the corridor's harsh white glow.
On the silhouette.
Broad-shouldered. The species whose ships had arrived in this sector only 3 cycles ago, causing chaos in the established trade routes. Can you walk? The human's voice was female, calm, and direct. Kessa pushed herself upright, legs shaking. Yes. Then come with me. Every instinct screamed trap, but staying meant certain death. Kessa stumbled forward, through the doorway, into the corridor. The human didn't touch her, didn't rush her. Just walked at a measured pace toward the exit, glancing back once to ensure Kessa followed. They passed the main auction floor. Empty now except for cleaning drones. The human moved through the building like she owned it, taking turns without hesitation. No guards stopped them. Outside, night air hit Kessa's face. The human led her to a small transport, nondescript and battered. The door opened with a hiss. Inside. Kessa climbed in. The human followed, sealing the door. The transport lifted smoothly, merging into traffic lanes above the city. What's your name? The human asked, hands steady on the controls. Kessa. Her throat was dry. You bought me? Yes. Why? Because everyone deserves a second chance. The answer was too simple, too clean. Kessa had learned that nothing in this universe came without cost. What do you want from me? For you to sit quietly while I get us somewhere safe. The transport banked left, descending toward the industrial district. Warehouses stretched in every direction, their walls marked with gang signs and corporate logos. The human landed behind a reinforced building, punching in a code that opened a hidden hangar. Inside, the space was small but organized. Medical supplies, ration crates, sleeping mats, a communications array that looked military-grade. The human shut down the transport and turned to face her. I'm Captain Sarah Chen, formerly of the Earth Coalition Exploratory Fleet. You can call me Sarah. This is a safe house. You're not a slave here. You're not property. You're free to leave whenever you want. Kessa stared at her. Why would you do this? Because I watched that auction for 3 hours, and when everyone else was sold and you were left behind, I saw something familiar. Sarah moved to the medical supplies, pulling out a scanner. I saw what happens when people decide someone isn't worth saving. And I don't accept that. You don't know me. I know enough. Sarah approached slowly, holding up the scanner. You were part of the StoryHFY rebellion, the one that tried to overthrow the mining corporation 6 months ago. You survived the purge. You survived captivity. You survived being deemed worthless. That takes strength. Kessa's hands trembled. I'm not strong. I'm broken. You're standing. Sarah activated the scanner, running it over Kessa's injuries without touching her. That's more than most people could manage. Now let me help you with these wounds, and then you can decide what happens next. The scanner beeped, displaying data Kessa couldn't read. Sarah's expression tightened. Malnutrition, fractured ribs, internal bleeding. They really did a number on you. She set the scanner down and met Kessa's eyes. I need to move you to a medical facility. I have contacts who won't ask questions, but I need your permission. Why do you need my permission? Because you're not my purposey. You're a person making your own choices. She couldn't remember the last time someone had asked her permission for anything. Where will I go after? I help people get off world, start new lives, new identities, new chances. Or if you want to fight, I can connect you with resistance networks. Your choice. And if I choose to leave right now? That's your right. The transport hummed softly in the silence. Kessa looked at the door, then at Sarah, then at her own shaking hands. "The medical facility," she whispered. "I'll go." "Good. Let's get you stable first. Everything else can wait." She helped Kessa back into the transport with careful, respectful distance. As they lifted off again, Kessa stared out the window at the city lights blurring past, trying to understand what had just happened. Across the city, in the highest tower, Queen Ashira of the Valorian Empire stood before floor-to-ceiling windows, watching traffic patterns through the night. Her security chief stood at attention beside her. "The human purchased the defective Toreishi," he reported. "Transaction completed legally. Credits verified." Ashira's pupils contracted, focusing on a small transport moving through the industrial sector. "Interesting. Shall we follow?" "No." She turned from the window. "But flag any further purchases by humans. I want to know what they're doing in my territory." "Yes, my queen." Alone again, Ashira returned to the window. Humans had been in this sector for barely 3 cycles, yet already they were disrupting established patterns, buying the unwanted, helping the broken. It was either stupidity or strategy. And Queen Ashira hadn't built an empire by ignoring potential threats. The medical facility was underground, accessed through a series of tunnels that smelled of recycled air and stone. Sarah led Kessa through dim corridors to a clean room where a Meridian doctor waited, her forearms already preparing instruments. "Another one?" the doctor asked without judgment. "Another one," Sarah confirmed. "Kessa, this is Dr. Vel. She's helped dozens of people in your situation." Kessa climbed onto the examination table, her body screaming with every movement. The doctor worked in silence, scanning, injecting, bandaging. Sarah stood by the door, not watching the procedure but present, a silent promise of safety. When Dr. Vel finished, she turned to Sarah. 4 days recovery minimum. She needs nutrients, rest, and monitoring. I'll take her to the safe house. No. Dr. Vel gestured to a recovery room beyond the main chamber. She stays here for 48 hours. I need to ensure the internal bleeding stops. You can visit. Is that acceptable? Kessa nodded. She had no energy left to argue, and Dr. Vel's clinical efficiency was oddly comforting. I'll bring supplies, Sarah said. And Kessa, you did well today. After she left, Dr. Vel helped Kessa to the recovery room, where a clean bed waited. The moment Kessa's head touched the pillow, exhaustion crashed over her. She was asleep before Dr. Vel dimmed the lights. In dreams, Kessa stood in the auction hall again, but this time she wasn't in the pen. She stood on the platform, and the bidders wore faces of everyone she'd lost. Her sister, her commander, the children from the mining colony. They all turned away, except one figure at the back, standing when everyone else sat. Kessa woke gasping, heart hammering. A glass of water sat on the table beside her bed. She drank it slowly, hands still shaking. The door opened. Dr. Vel entered with a tray of food. Real food, not the paste they'd fed her in captivity. Eat slowly, the doctor instructed. Your system needs to readjust. The flavors nearly made her weep. Why do you help Sarah? She asked between mouthfuls. Dr. Vel checked the monitors above the bed. Because 5 years ago I was in your position. Different circumstances, same desperation. A human found me and asked if I wanted to live. I said yes. Now I return the favor. There are more of us? Vel's expression softened, which was unsettling on a Meridian's crystalline features. Humans have this strange concept called compassion. They extend it to strangers. It's inefficient, illogical, and completely genuine. I don't understand them. Neither do most species. That's why they're interesting. Over the next 2 days, Kessa learned the rhythm of the underground facility. Dr. Vel worked methodically, rebuilding Kessa's strength with medicine and food. Sarah visited twice daily, bringing supplies and asking nothing in return. On the 3rd day, Sarah arrived with a data tablet. Your ribs are healed enough to travel, she said. Dr. Vel says you can leave today if you want. I have 3 options for you. She activated the tablet, showing 3 locations. Option 1. Colony ship heading to the frontier. New settlement, new name, quiet life. Option 2, resistance cell operating in the Outer Rim. They're organizing Toreishi refugees, planning a larger movement. Option 3, stay here, work with me, help others like yourself. Kessa studied each option, her mind churning. What would you do? She asked. Sarah smiled faintly. That's the wrong question. What do you want to do? I want to understand why you do this, What's in it for you? Honestly, Sarah leaned against the wall. I grew up on Earth, in a time after we almost destroyed ourselves. We learned that survival depends on cooperation, on seeing value in everyone. When my people reached space and saw how other species operated, the slavery, the exploitation, the waste of potential, we couldn't just ignore it. Not always successfully, but we try. Kessa picked up the tablet again, scrolling through Option 3's details. If I stay and help you, what would that involve? Identifying people in danger, coordinating with other helpers, sometimes extraction work, like what I did for you. It's dangerous, and you'd be risking everything again. But I'd be fighting back. Yes, Kessa's decision crystallized with startling clarity. Option 3. Respect, maybe? You're sure? I'm sure. Then welcome to the team. Sarah extended her hand, the human gesture of agreement. Kessa took it, feeling the strength in Sarah's grip, the steadiness. For the first time in months, she felt like something more than broken merchandise. High above, in her tower, Queen Ashira reviewed reports her security chief had compiled. 17 purchases by humans in the past month. All of unwanted merchandise, all relocated to unknown destinations. They're building something, she said aloud. Her chief nodded. A network, we believe. But to what purpose? Ashira traced patterns on her data screen. In her youth, before inheriting the crown, she'd been a strategist. She understood movements, positioning, long-term planning. They're creating loyalty, she concluded. By saving people no one else wanted, they're building a force that owes them everything. It's brilliant. Shall we stop them? No. Ashira deactivated the screen. We watch. If they become a threat, we'll know. If they're truly just helping refugees, they're someone else's problem. We have an empire to run. But even as she spoke the words, Ashira felt uncertainty, a rare sensation for her. Humans were unpredictable. Their compassion could be weaponized or genuine, and determining which required more observation. She made a mental note to attend the next auction personally. Understanding your enemy required seeing them in action. Sarah brought Kessa to a different safe house, larger than the first, where 3 others lived. A Crinian male with scarred mandibles. A young Talvesh female who couldn't have been more than 16. An elderly Voss whose translator was broken, communicating through gesture. This is home base, Sarah explained. Everyone here was where you were. Now they help coordinate operations. The Crinian, who introduced himself as Torx, showed Kessa to a small room with a bed, storage, and a window overlooking the city. It's not much, he said, his voice gravelly. But it's yours. No one can take it away. That night, they ate together around a common table. Simple food, simple conversation. The Talvish girl, Linny, talked about the school she hoped to attend once she got her new identity. The Voss, whom everyone called Elder, signed stories about his homeworld before the conquest. Kessa listened, absorbing the casual normalcy of it all. Sarah saved you from the auction? Linny asked between bites. Yes. She has a thing about last chances. Linny grinned. I was scheduled for execution. She bribed 3 guards and a shuttle pilot to get me out. Craziest thing I ever witnessed. Torx rumbled agreement. She found me in a labor camp, half dead from radiation exposure. Walked in like she owned the place, demanded my release, and when they refused, she triggered a radiation alarm that evacuated the whole facility. I walked out in the chaos. How does she get away with it? Kessa asked. Careful planning, Torx said. And incredible luck. Also being human helps. Most species still don't know what to make of them. They use that confusion as cover. Elder signed something complex. Linny translated. He says humans are like water. They flow around obstacles instead of confronting them directly. It makes them unpredictable. Over the following weeks, Kessa learned the operations mechanics. Sarah worked with a network of informants across the city, identifying individuals marked for disposal or facing execution. The team analyzed risk factors, planned extractions, and coordinated with off-world contacts for relocation. Kessa's role involved surveillance. Her Toreshi physiology allowed her to work in industrial zones without suspicion. She watched, listened, and reported patterns. She discovered she was good at it. 2 months into her new life, Sarah approached her with a delicate assignment. There's an auction tomorrow, she said quietly. High profile. Queen Ashira herself is attending. Why would she go to an auction? That's what worries me. My sources say she's been monitoring human activity. This could be a trap, or simple curiosity. Either way, I need eyes inside. You want me to go back to that place? I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, but you're the only one who knows the layout, the procedures, the rhythms. You could pose as staff, observe, and report. No rescue attempt, just information. The thought of returning to that hall made her stomach turn, but she'd chosen this. She'd chosen to fight. I'll do it. If it feels wrong at any point, you abort. Information isn't worth your life. The next day, Kessa walked through the auction hall's service entrance, wearing a staff uniform Sarah's contacts had provided. Her forged credentials passed the security check. She moved through familiar corridors with a practiced, invisible efficiency. The main floor had been transformed for the Queen's visit. Additional guards lined the walls. The platform gleamed under enhanced lighting. The merchandise cages had been polished to a shine. Kessa took a position near the refreshment station, serving drinks to bidders with downcast eyes and efficient movements. The perfect invisible servant. Queen Ashira arrived exactly on time, flanked by her security detail. She was smaller than Kessa expected, her Valorian features sharp and intelligent. She didn't sit in the special viewing box prepared for her. Instead, she stood at the back, watching everything with calculating attention. The auction proceeded. Kessa poured drinks, cleared glasses, and listened. Ashira didn't bid. She simply observed. When a human couple entered and purchased a Meridian male scheduled for reconditioning, Ashira's focus sharpened visibly. When another human bought a crippled Voss female no one else wanted, Ashira leaned toward her security chief, speaking too quietly for Kessa to hear. The auction ended. Ashira didn't leave immediately. She walked the floor, studying the empty platform, the holding pens, the processing stations. Her gaze swept the room and stopped on Kessa. Time froze. Kessa kept her expression neutral, subservient, waiting for recognition, for alarms, for guards. Ashira's eyes narrowed slightly, then moved on. She departed with her entourage, leaving Kessa trembling behind the refreshment station. Back at the safe house, Kessa reported everything to Sarah. She knows something, Kessa concluded. The way she watched those purchases, the way she studied the facility. She's building a picture. Then we need to be more careful. Or bolder. What do you mean? We could pull back, go quiet for a few months, or we could accelerate operations, get as many people out as possible before she decides to act. What's the right choice? Sarah smiled sadly. There isn't one, just different risks. The team debated late into the night. Torx advocated caution. Linny pushed for acceleration. Elder signed that they should trust their instincts. Kessa listened to all of them, then spoke. We keep going. If we stop now, everyone still trapped suffers longer. Queen Ashira might be watching, but she hasn't acted. That means she's uncertain. We use that uncertainty. You've changed since the auction. I remember what it felt like to be left behind, Kessa said quietly. I won't let that happen to others if I can prevent it. Over the next month, Sarah's network extracted 20 to 3 individuals from various facilities. Each rescue was clean, professional, leaving minimal evidence. The patterns emerged, and patterns could be traced. Queen Ashira summoned her intelligence director to the tower. The humans have extracted 40 individuals in 3 months, she stated. All unwanted merchandise, all relocated off-world. I want to know how they're doing it, where they're taking people, and what their endgame is. We could arrest them, the director suggested. On what charges? They're purchasing legally.
We have no proof of their network's existence, only suspicions.
Ashira paced her office. No, we need concrete evidence. I want surveillance on every human in the city. I want their communications monitored. I want to know every move they make. Yes, my queen. After he left, Ashira stood at her window again, troubled by thoughts she couldn't quite articulate. Part of her, the part that remembered being young and idealistic before power hardened her, wondered if the humans were truly a threat or simply a mirror reflecting what the Valorian Empire had become. She pushed the thought away. Sentiment had no place in rulership. Sarah received the warning from an informant embedded in the palace. Full surveillance. Complete monitoring. They had days, maybe hours, before the net closed. We evacuate, she told the team. Everyone. Tonight. Essential supplies. Forged documents. Escape routes planned months ago, now activated. Kessa helped Elder pack her movements quick but gentle. The old Voss signed gratitude, sadness, hope. We'll be safe, she promised, though she wasn't certain. Sarah coordinated multiple extractions simultaneously. The safe house team would scatter to different transports, different destinations, reconvening off-world once the heat died down. As they prepared to leave, Linny approached Kessa. "Are you scared? Terrified?" Kessa admitted. "Me too, but at least we're terrified together." Torx and 3 others heading to a frontier colony. The second followed an hour later. Linny, Elder, and 5 refugees bound for a resistance stronghold. Kessa was on the 3rd transport with Sarah and 2 others. They were waiting for the final clearance code when alarms shrieked through the hangar. "Go!" Sarah shouted to the other transport. "Get out now!" The second pilot didn't hesitate. The transport launched, barely clearing the hangar before security forces arrived. Sarah, Kessa, and the 2 others ran for the emergency tunnels. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Shouts. The whine of weapons charging. They split up. Sarah and Kessa went left. The others went right, drawing pursuit. The tunnels were a maze. Sarah navigated by memory, pulling Kessa through intersections, down service shafts, through maintenance corridors. They emerged in the Undercity, where the poorest citizens lived in stacked habitats that official maps didn't acknowledge. "This way," Sarah whispered, leading Kessa through narrow passages between buildings. They reached a hidden door. Sarah entered a code. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. "They've changed the security protocols," she muttered. "We need another exit." Footsteps approached from both directions. They were boxed in. Sarah drew a weapon Kessa hadn't known she carried. "Stay behind me. I won't let you die for me," Kessa said. "That's not your choice." Security forces emerged from both ends of the alley, weapons trained. A Valorian commander stepped forward, her uniform marked with the Queen's insignia. "Surrender peacefully and you'll be processed according to law." Sarah didn't lower her weapon. "And if we don't, then you'll be processed according to necessity." Then a voice cut through the night, calm and absolute. "Stand down." Everyone turned. Queen Ashira walked into the alley alone, her guards hanging back at the entrance. She moved without fear, without hesitation, stopping 3 meters from Sarah. "You've been busy, Captain Chen?" Sarah's weapon didn't waver. "Just helping people. Helping people who were legally purchased and owned. People aren't property." Philosophical debate. Ashira's gaze shifted to Kessa. "I remember you. From the auction." Kessa met her eyes, refusing to look away. "You were worthless then," Ashira continued. "Broken. Scheduled for disposal. Now you stand beside a human, armed with purpose. What changed?" "Someone saw value where you saw waste," Kessa answered. Ashira smiled faintly. "Interesting." She turned back to Sarah. "I could execute you both right now. Illegal operations, interfering with commercial transactions, dozens of violations. But that would be wasteful. Then what do you want?" "To understand." Ashira gestured to her guards, who lowered their weapons. "You've extracted 47 individuals from my territory. You've cost slavers millions in revenue. You've disrupted established systems. What? Compassion? Strategy? Rebellion? Because it's right. Right is subjective, not to us." Ashira studied her in silence, calculating. Finally, she spoke. "I'm going to make you an offer, Captain Chen. One time only. I'm listening." "Leave my territory. Take your network, your refugees, your idealism, go to the frontier, the outer rim, anywhere beyond my borders. In return, I won't pursue you. I won't hunt those you've saved. I'll consider it a business loss and move on. And if I refuse, I'll find everyone you've helped and return them to their original fate. I'll make an example of you that echoes across the sector. I have the resources and the will. You destroy all those lives to prove a point. I'd protect my empire's stability. Don't mistake mercy for weakness, Captain. I'm offering you an escape because you're more useful as a distant nuisance than a public execution. But test me, and I'll show you exactly what a queen can do." Kessa watched the exchange, seeing 2 very different kinds of strength facing each other. Sarah holstered her weapon slowly. "If I leave, do I have your word the others will be safe?" "You have my word as queen. They'll be forgotten, as long as they cause no further trouble here." "Wise. You have 72 hours to leave this planet. After that, my offer expires." She turned to leave, then paused, looking back at Kessa. "You chose well," she said quietly. "Not many would risk everything for strangers. Perhaps humans aren't as foolish as I thought." Then she was gone, her guards following, leaving Sarah and Kessa alone in the alley. They stood in silence for a long moment. "We need to move," Sarah finally said. "We have 3 days to get everyone off-world." Messages sent to scattered contacts. Transports secured. Destinations confirmed. The network Sarah had built over years collapsed into rapid evacuation. Other humans in the city helped, revealing themselves from the shadows where they'd been working independently. Together, they coordinated the largest extraction operation Kessa had ever witnessed. On the final night, Kessa stood with Sarah at the spaceport, watching the last transport prepare for departure. "What happens now?" she asked. "We rebuild somewhere else," Sarah said. "There are always people who need help. Will you ever stop?" "Not as long as I can make a difference." Kessa looked at the woman who'd bought her freedom, who'd given her purpose, who'd risked everything for strangers. "Neither will I," she said. Sarah smiled. "Good. I'll need help on the frontier." They'd boarded the transport together. As it lifted from the spaceport, Kessa looked down at the city lights spreading below, at the empire that had tried to break her and failed. In her tower, Queen Ashira watched the transport leave on her monitors. Her security chief stood beside her. "They're gone, my queen." Yes, Ashira deactivated the display. And the empire continues. But she would remember this. The humans who valued the worthless. Who fought without armies.
Will build strength through compassion.
If they ever returned with greater numbers, with greater resources, they would be a problem. But for now, they were someone else's concern. And perhaps in the privacy of her thoughts, Ashira wondered what kind of empire she'd built that required such people to exist in opposition. The transport broke atmosphere, stars filling the viewports. Kessa sat beside Sarah, surrounded by others they'd saved, heading toward an uncertain future. But she was heading toward it free. And with people who'd proven that being worthless was never a permanent condition, just a lie powerful people told to justify cruelty, humans, she'd learned, were very good at exposing lies.